I think like half of the team quit because Mo poached them. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's some kind of spy that it's just a facade for something else. But
Mo's just like going into company records and figuring out like
yeah,
who's worked on all these little problems that I want to solve and like how can I stitch them together.
it's amazing. And then I think another funny story is that like Mo told you that we worked on these like hobby projects and shared ideas and so on. And I think this idea came up because over the weekend Mo had like experimented with like multi-agentic systems. So he
Mm-hmm.
tried to replicate the Swedish population in AI agents to like try to simulate
Jesus.
Sweden as a country. So like on a Monday when we had our weekly sync, he said, "Hey, I built over the weekend. I built like 10.8 million AI agents. They are based on 300 demographic data points and they can talk to each other and they can act like humans. What should I do with them?" And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. So then we started discussing like what should we do, and then I asked like I think we had a lot of ideas, but then I asked like Mo, I was like, do you have any marketeers? Because I've seen this inefficiency and I've seen the struggle for many years. And Mo said, I don't know exactly the number, but like yeah, 23,000 or something like that, because that's how many marketers are in Sweden or whatever number. And then it kind of like hit. All right, let's put them to work and let's build Lucy and her team.
Okay, so like the problem that we're solving here, like humor me for a moment. Really simply, what is it?
Yeah, so I think it's the inefficiency in marketing that we're
Mm-hmm.
solving. And I do think we see
And
two
is
big.
that on a high level? Like we're solving, like the goal is to solve all inefficiencies, but it starts with advertising.
Yeah, I think like what we want to do is that we want to make great marketing available for everyone. So like that's like our North Star, and that's what we're gonna work towards. And I think that's what I saw when I worked with hundreds of marketers at Google and companies. It's like it's not really like that because it's so inefficient, because it's so.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like the amount of money that is cost for just poor decisions when it comes to performance marketing, is a large chunk as well. So I think those two problems is what we saw is like really making it hard for a lot of companies to do great marketing. So we want to enable that, and especially enable that through agencies to be able to do better marketing and be able to help more companies do great marketing.
What's the hard thing here? Is it just building all of these agents to do this work effectively, or is it the context window? Is it just something else that I'm missing? Like, what's the really hard thing when building this?
I think maybe Mo, you can go through the
Mm.
tech side, but I think it's like three things that we saw is really hard. Is that firstly the amount of unstructured numeric data, like LLMs doesn't have inherent calculations, so there's a lot of hallucinations, and we
Mm-hmm.
can't have that, of course. Technically, but maybe Mo, you wanna go through it.
Yeah, I think technically it's a very complex system to build. Just like if you think about it in the future, like 2 years from now, we will end up like with hundreds of millions of AI agents that live 24/7 monitoring campaigns across the globe, trying to make like very strategic decisions in sub-seconds latency and moving budget and money between like accounts and campaigns. So to have it at that scale and to build it on like a very, very strong infrastructure, that's a very, very difficult thing to do. And with that, we're actually not using like a kind of tested technologies that have been there for 10 years. We're like approaching the kind of limits on the multi-agentic systems. Like now we are trying to hire. It's very, very difficult to have experts in that area because it's just been like a technology that has been there for less than a year. And on the other side, we are trying to allow LLMs to handle like 10 years, 15 years of marketing data that is numeric, like it doesn't accept inaccuracy. It needs to be calculated very fast and very accurate. And both of these kind of like we don't have standard in the market yet. We are trying to build that ourselves. We're talking to researchers and get like the top talent to help us with that. But while doing all of this, we also need to balance that marketing is also like not one size fits all. Like every agency, every company has its own kind of it's not an easy task.
How do you do that? Like, when we think about the brand equity that these agents are going to have agency over, or just brands, visuals, share of mind in a consumer on a platform, for a consumer on a platform, how do you let it have the agency to go and do the work effectively?
Yeah, so I think like when it comes to, is your question like translating the agencies and the marketers' knowledge into the AI
Yeah,
agent?
but also the brand values, etc. Because like LLMs can hallucinate, but we're obviously working towards a less of a probabilistic ecosystem and more of a deterministic one. But like that marketer that's pressing those buttons and letting the agent go and run away and then report back, how do they know it's going to actually deliver the same brand values that when I've watched a Nike ad or I see a Nike ad, I feel a certain way?
Yeah. So I think what happens as soon as you onboard a new client, like if you're an agency and you onboard a new brand, we have AI agents that does research about that brand. So, fetch brand profile, the context, the industry, all of these things. So like right out of the box, we have some kind of base level understanding. The other things is that you can, in a kind of a seamless way, give feedback to the system and also upload like brand guidelines. You can upload case studies. But also how much you wanna control. So I think those two ways makes it pretty simple to get that type of brand control.
I've got to ask, and I know we chatted about this when we first talked, Elias. When you guys do this effectively, and I'm sure you already are, but it sort of rolls out to the masses, what is this going to do for just marketing in general when you give access to everyone, like give access to high quality marketeers and agents to everyone in the market? Like you democratize being able to produce good advertisements and good copy and report back effectively better than we can do today in all of those admin tasks. How do you're gonna flood the system with like the best ads and the best copy? How do you think about that?
I think it's such an interesting topic. I think like what we talked about as well as I think like in a short time period, like let's look at 5 years, I think it's going to be like just allowing everyone to be able to scale their product and making marketing is more accessible for everyone and making sure that agencies can also survive this new era and also help a lot of companies at scale. So like that's probably like that type of timeline. But what you're talking about is like describing a thing where like if we can make everyone do perfect marketing, everything is responsive, everything is tested, everything is like done in a really good way and like heavily on the like AI generated side, like what is actually going to happen. And I do think there's a lot of theories, but I do think there's two things to maybe point out. I do think that maybe it will become more of the like matching the right type of user with the right type. Influence people to buy certain services. But I do think it's an interesting topic. I do think it's going to be more and more matching side and maybe more agents making the purchases and deciding. But I also think there's always going to be an element of like creativity and brand that you want to associate with certain type of companies.
With the medium that we sort of engage in changing over the next 5 to 10 years, whether that's glasses, whether that's voice, whether that's video as well as, we sort of are able to buy on Shopify and TikTok, YouTube and TikTok now. Like, how does Epiminds think about that?
I think what is really cool with the way that we're building is that because we have our own framework for the collaboration between agents that is adapted for marketing, and then we have our way of processing the data for marketing, it's really easy for us to add different channels and different integrations. Like it maybe takes 2 days for us to be up and running with a new integration, and that's live in the system. And everything we add to the system strengthens the entire part of it. So let's say that tomorrow everything goes to VR or whatever it might be. You will have the system where we have the agents that can execute the process because it's still the same type of data, and also the integrations and the agents that can execute. So for us, I think that's also a big part of using like a multi-agentic system for marketing is that can easily be adapted to all of these new emerging channels that pops up. Just an example, like let's say geo, like how do you get visibility in LLMs? Yeah, like to be able to build that traditionally would be pretty hard, but with the agencies that are partnering up with us to be able to be ahead of that curve.
Can I ask, right? Elias, you don't have a Twitter account yet from what I found. Can we just make sure like Lucy's running in the background and see if we can just impersonate you for a while and see what she kicks out?
Yeah, I definitely think I've gotten so much shit from like that I don't have an X account because of the startup. Signal, I was on ETN before, and they said like, you know, you have to have an X.
It's like, dude, where's the X? Come on, man.
Yeah, I need to. I'm gonna set it up after the meeting.
Can we give Lucy her own, and she just pumps out just tweets 24/7?
I'm not sure, like, yesterday I posted something on LinkedIn, was hilarious. So we got this complaint from one of our users that Lucy was a bit agitated yesterday.
I saw this. It was hilarious.
And I that's exactly the idea came to my mind. Like, let's create like an account on LinkedIn and X for Lucy, and just let her share her kind of day-to-day experience dealing with customers. Of course, like with anonymity and like there is no sensitive data. But like by the end of the day, she shares like just like comes and said like, today I dealt with the weirdest marketeers, or like the most intelligent marketeers. It would be a super interesting experience just to see the perspective of Lucy on this.
Like as a social experiment, it would be hilarious because like she's going to wake up in the morning, but she's going to have access to the entire world. They're going to think you've built AGI just like 5 years before Sama.
Now it's really fun when you see that it's like our users also interacting with Lucy and how they communicate, and also Lucy snapping back a bit. We need to fine tune that a bit, but it was pretty fun message. No, we can keep it. I like it as well.
Why does she have the ability to snap back? Like I personally find that quite useful, right? Because it's the feedback loop of, am I asking the right question? You know, I've asked the same thing 5 times and the sentiment might change, and it's, you know, today we feel like we're context engineering and prompt engineering, but the reality is we're just asking the same thing multiple times. Was that done on purpose, or is it just something that she's able to do?
No, it's done on purpose. And I think it was done on purpose, not for the communication with the user, but for the communication with the sub-agents, with the other agents we have. We want her to be firm. We want her to be kind of like very bossy in a way to make sure that like things are running well, and that sometimes, you know, like goes back to the communication with the user if the user keep asking the question, and this is kind of a combination of the internal behavior for Lucy itself, but also like for her capabilities, because she has like both long-term and short-term memory, and if you ask the same question in like 2 minutes 5 times, she need to question you regarding that. So I think it wasn't done on purpose to be public with the users, but I think it's inherent from the way that we built her.
Mo, I did a little bit of background on you. There's not a lot that I can find, but there was some, right? And obviously doing ML at Spotify and then transitioning over to this and, you know, building Epiminds and Lucy and, you know, the relevant agents and sub-agents that come out. I'm sitting there thinking like, why wasn't this done inside of Spotify? Or were you just working on those projects and just got bored?
So I left Spotify a bit earlier than this idea. I think there is definitely a difference between a scale-up or, you know, a corporate and like a startup. Spotify was like a great place where they every year had like different bets on different like innovations that they need to do. They need to kind of work on. Like if you remember the car thing, for example, was a result of that. But as any part of big company, the wheel is just slower. The innovation pace is way much slower than the startups. I mean, one criticism that Google has now, for example, is that like you have 1 billion users and you haven't pushed like Gemini like to Google Home or like to Chromebooks, and the reason for that is bureaucracy. Like technically, you have the product, you cannot just push it out. So I think like from that experience, there is definitely a lot of learnings about like how to think about innovation and like what would be the type entity that can actually push this forward. And I think startup in this case would be like the best use case. Like it could not be a normal business, it could not be like a scale up, it could not be one of the labs. It needs to be a startup that moves very, very fast.
You've obviously raised like almost, is it 7 million euros or $7 million?
$6.6 million.
$6.6 million. I think that rounds up to €7, right? Like we'll keep the nice round number. It sounds better. Lightspeed sort of lead investor on that as well, right? How do you plan to deploying all that capital? Does it just go into marketing, or actually is there some sort of research you have to do behind the scenes that's going to allow you to build some sort of moat? How are you thinking about deploying capital?
Yeah, you can start on the camera.
Yeah, I think like for us, it's like marketing and all of those things. Like we have, after the launch, we had like almost 250 companies requesting access. Like
on top of the 250 that you're already servicing.
Yeah, so like we work with agencies and 300 brands, and then no like 350 additional agencies and in-house teams. I think that's amazing. That's really cool. But I do think like our main priority is build out the best absolute product for our agencies.
Mhm.
So we don't accept anymore. Like we are on a closed beta, we're on a wait list, and we need to be disciplined with that, because what we want to do now is build the absolute best product. So for us, the capital not going to marketing in the beginning. It's gonna be like to build this technically, we need like extreme talent, because when it comes to the models and all of those things, like it's a heavily technical product. So for us, the main capital will go to hiring in the first stage.
What type of talent are we looking for here? Like not just thoroughbred marketeers, I'm assuming engineers that have a flair of marketing built into them, right?
It's kind of a mix. Like when it comes to AI specifically, we are looking for very, very specific profile, like someone who's worked with multi-agentic system.
Clear.
And it's like very tough to find in the market now.
Is that just because no one's done it effectively before? And if they have, they're coming out of DeepMind, Anthropic, or...
Exactly. So the technology is quite new. And then if someone worked with that for the last 1.5 years, for example, most probably they're in one of the big labs or Vercel or LangChain, for example, and they're very happy, and you just raised like half a billion dollar round. So it's very, very tough, but we're looking to kind of acquire that talent, because we really need it to be able to build the full-fledged. And then on the other side, also, like if you're coming from a marketing background, it would make it way much easier, because then you will resonate with the product and the vision, and the combination of these two would be like the best match for us at the moment.
So currently we have 3 roles open. So we have a founding AI engineer, we have a full stack, and then we have like sales. And sales were a bit more flexible on the location, and then also like on the UI and design part, because I talked about this on the end. Like I think we view that how to separate these multi-agentic systems and agentic approaches, like how well you also design the product and how well you can make the communication between the agents like seamlessly and so on. So it's going to be heavily focused on the design part for us, but that's like the roles that we are primarily focusing on.
Are we going fully remote, or is everyone back in Stockholm?
No, we want to build a team in Stockholm, especially when it comes to tech. When it comes to sales, I think that's more important to be closer to the clients, so then we're more flexible. Of course,
I'm thinking just hubs across the world with like mini Lucy's running around. You stick one on the East Coast, the West Coast, get one in Hollywood, and then obviously the Middle East, India, China, wherever else that we're going. Look, before we let you guys go and build this generational defining company in marketing, I need a little bit of a quick fire from you guys. Okay,
Go for it.
All right. What's the top tier client or customer that you got to have on the docket at some point for you as customers?
I would want one of the big 6. I think we're working on it. That would be cool to be able to like, how can we deploy this in like an enterprise scale way? That's like one of the clients. I don't think we're going to open up right now, but that would be one. And then it would be really cool to be able to work with a really like high level in-house team that are a bit one of the big ones as well.
I think Apple feels like the right flavor for this, right? As if Apple, if you're listening, and like not even Apple, if you're listening, Apple, they should imagine a Siri version of Lucy, just like just communicating with each other, just deploying work.
But then I would also say that we're pretty happy with the customers that we have now that also built it up. With like some people joined before we even had the product. They are pretty amazing as well. So it's pretty fun to be able to build this out with them as well.
We love all our customers. They're all our children. Yeah. There are no favorites because they make us build the product. We allow us to build the product that we have. One of the questions that I love to ask founders on the show, and so we'll split it on this because we've got both of you on. Mount Rushmore of founders. Mo, who are your 2? Elias, who are your 2?
Oh, you need to remind me about the 4.
But
so like who are your favorites? Like if you could think back across history of founders for you guys.
Oh, founders.
Not who's on the
history. Yeah, I was like, I need to remember.
So who's your George Washington or whoever it was?
Oh my God. That's do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking and how he looks at startup, I think is also pretty cool.
Can I just comment on that for a moment? Naval, when he comes to talking about like networking, there's this one quote that stands out, and it's just go build something cool and people will come to you. I think you guys have just epitomized that, right? You know, so many publications have come to you. So like kudos to that.
Thank you.
I think those are my two. If you're gonna put me on the spot here, I'm sure there's many more. But yeah, I think one on the design and product side, and also just because he was like one of the first books, like the Almanac.
It's a hell of a book, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was really cool, and I read it like in a point where I was pretty early, and I think it was kind of cool to get those ideas when it comes to building companies.
Mo, come on, give me some.
I would say Zuck in the beginning.
Nice.
Yeah. I think he gets a lot of bad reputation, but I think like if you remove some of that and you look at his journey as a founder, it's been quite like monumental, I would say. The other person I would put there would be the founder of Duolingo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he has such a cool story. Like
Yes.
with recapture and everything. I want to take that
one. I can give it to you. Go for it.
No, I love it. So we got Jobs, we got Naval, we got Zuck, and we got the I can never remember the Duolingo CEO's name.
Yeah, I forgot the name. But yeah, the story is amazing. I think he pushed for, and also like the choices that he made during that journey was like a bit controversial, but it worked out very well for them.
He sort of redefined how we like think about building applications and also working with applications, and their marketing team is absolutely like stacked, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Their marketing, like it's them and Ryanair that is a bit edgy, but I like it.
It's very good. Look, last one, right? Why is Stockholm the best place to build this company? Despite it being home, right? Like I obviously get that, but like outside of that, why did it feel like the right place to build this from?
I think from two different perspectives. The first one is the tech scene here is quite hot at the moment.
Yeah, Silicon Valhalla is absolutely killing it.
Exactly, and we all have this like proud kind of feeling that like we are building this next SF, even though we all love SF, but we really believe that like you can build a decacorn from Stockholm, and if someone is doubting, like then the question is like why not, and then all the questions basically get shut down. So that's the first reason. The second reason, I think like the European market in general is quite a big market for us, and to be able to focus on that in the beginning is quite important. And there's like the distances are quite small as well, so we can move very fast commercial as well. And I think when we go to the US, it's going to be an easier jump for us than starting in the US and then coming back to Europe again.
And then I think we look at like how do we execute the quickest? Like, is that moving everything up and trying to start from a different part of the world? Maybe not. And then it's things like Stockholm is a really cool part. And I would definitely say like the scene. Like I've not been in the startup scene before, and I think to get there and like to have this company, I think it's really cool, and you really got to experience it. Like just at this WeWork that we're sitting on right now, like we have Strawberry. They also raised like
nice.
6 million. Like they launched the same day as us. Like it's a really cool ecosystem, and you really feel that. So we have to host you if you come here.
I absolutely will. I can't wait to come down there because like the amount of shows that I can do and deep dives will just be insane. Like talent within a square mile is so cracked and it's so dense. It just feels. I'm sure it feels amazing to be there. When I come, what's the one place that I have to go to eat?
To eat?
Yeah.
Subway. We're eating every meal is this Subway because it's like 10 meters from us. But no, you shouldn't do that. My favorite place was Pat's Place on Södermalm. But I'm not even sure if it's open. It was like 4 years ago since I lived there. But yeah.
I mean, two places come to mind. One Italian, like it's my favorite Italian in the city. I can absolutely take you there. And there is like this underground kind of taco place. It's very shady, but it's very, very good.
Yeah, the shady places are the best places. Let's be perfectly honest. Guys, I'm gonna let you crack on to it with building and hiring. I will see you soon, hopefully in Stockholm next time. Yeah.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.